Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another video. So in this lesson we're going to continue on with the enemy spawn point script. And actually I've had some problems just recently with this script, so we're going to fix those. We're just going to change it back to inheriting from mono behavior. And we'll come down and begin filling out functions shortly, but we'll create some variables up at the top here first. So private transform, this is just for the player, so we've done this plenty of times before. Underscore player, close the line off. In the comments, creates transform to store the player game object. Private game object underscore player game object. Again, close the line off. Into the comments, defines naming convention for storing player game object. Private float underscore player distance to spawn point. Let's close that line off now. Defines the distance between player and spawn point. Okay, with those now in place, we'll come to the enum. And I'm just going to add another function right at the very beginning. We'll say setup spawn point. We'll just copy one of the voids we've created and swap it out for that new naming convention. And again, we'll copy one of the case blocks. And again, we'll just swap out that naming convention. Remember, this comes first in the case block. So let's begin to fill out this first one now that we've just created. Underscore player game object is going to equal game object with a capital G dot find game object with tag, open and close brackets, close the line off, inside the brackets, little quote marks, and we'll say player. We'll break this up for commenting. We'll just use that naming convention. In the comments, we'll say equals find game object with the tag of player underscore player is going to equal underscore player game object dot transform. Let's close that line off. So in the comments, underscore player equals, and again we'll just copy and paste that naming convention in, and it's transform. And now we'll say spawn point state is going to equal And we want enemy spawn point state, did we call it? Spawn point state dot waiting for player to come into range. Again, we'll break it up for commenting, and we'll say set spawn point state to equal and we'll just copy that naming convention in. And we're actually going to skip one and come to player is in range. We'll copy the line where we switch the state and we'll just paste that in. And we'll swap the naming convention out to spawn enemies, again in the comments. And that's because we'll do the code later for this block. But we can get everything to a point where I can begin to test out and show you it working before we need to fill out this function. So now we'll come for waiting for player to come into range. Underscore player distance to spawn point. That's going to equal a vector 3 dot distance. Open and close brackets, close line off. Inside the brackets, we're going to say player dot position, comma, and transform dot position. Again, let's break this up for commenting. So we'll say set and we'll copy in the naming convention equals distance between player and this game object. We'll enter again, we'll say if open and close brackets. So this is fairly straightforward. We've done this before in the enemy AI. I know it was quite a while ago, but it's still the best way of doing things, just so it's compatible with everybody's project. So I've just created a line saying if open and close brackets, inside the brackets distance to spawn point is less than enemy spawn point distance. So let's put that into the comments. If player distance is less than enemy spawn distance, we'll enter. Again, we'll copy the line where we switch these states and we'll swap it out to player is in range. Paste that in there and we'll just tidy up the comments. So we've just saved that off. Of course, you can see all this working if you like. You can always set these to public. And in the inspector, you should see the debug logs when the player enters range. But we'll leave it for now and we'll test it out when we can actually begin to spawn some enemies. And we'll begin filling out this function in the very next lesson. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope to see you next time. And until then, as always, bye for now.